There are a lot of different sanders out there and they all have their different uses, from belt, orbital, sheet, palm to detail and multi-tool sanders. They're all designed to do pretty much the same thing, give you a nice smooth finish to your surface. Each variety has models which are battery operated or corded. The benefits of battery-powered sanders is that they are portable and are compatible with other tools in the range. The corded models are good when you're working in one location or like a workshop or a shed. Now, when it comes to choosing one, think about how frequently you'll be using it. When using a belt sander or doing heavy-duty sanding, consider compatibility with dust extractors like these options. The next thing you'll need to do is think about the type of job that you'll be doing. Sanding a large flat surface is very different to sanding a small object with a lot of curved surfaces or something with small corners. Luckily, there's a sander for every job. So let's have a close look at them. Let's start with a sheet sander, which is also referred to in the trade as a finishing sander. Not great for rough surfaces, but excellent for finishing off the job. These operate in small circular movements. They have a rectangular pad which is great to get into corners, and the sheets just clip into place. Now moving to the orbital sander. These have a round pad which spins around. They're faster and can be used as a more general purpose solution and will cover off a lot of tasks on different types of wood. Hook and loop pads are convenient for changing and reusing sanding discs, and some of them have variable speed settings. Next up, a belt sander. This is a fast, more aggressive option. The belt moves around the wheels in one direction. Great for large areas, smoothing, shaping, rough sawn timber or landscaping timber. But you may want to finish off with an orbital sander. And finally, the detail sander. They have a delta-shaped sanding pad, which is great for getting into narrow gaps and into corners. Some also have variable speed setting for different jobs. You can also use a multi-tool for the same purpose. Now, when it comes to using sandpaper can range from 40 right up to 2000 grit, depending on the machine that it goes on. Now, the higher the number, the more grits there are per square inch. So the finer the sandpaper. So for example, with a belt sander, the grit will range from 40 up to about 120 grit. After that, I would come in with my orbital sander, which ranges from 40 up to about 400 grit. Now, if I wanted an ultra fine finish, I would then pick up our finishing sander, which can take it right up to 2000 grit. Now, it's a good idea to start with a slightly finer grit than you may need so you don't ruin your work. Then move to a rougher grit if you need to. Whatever sander you're using, the golden rule is the correct sander and sandpaper for the task only requires the tool's own weight to do the job. Never push hard on the tool to get the job done quicker. This can damage the sanding pad, the tool itself, and the material you're working on. Now, when it comes to safety, always wear eye and ear protection as well as a dust mask. It's best practice to use a dust extractor as you'll be making a lot of it. Before you start, know the product that you are sanding. Be very careful of the dust produced from sanding lead-based paint. If you have a surface that you think possibly could have asbestos in it, do not touch it by any means. Get it tested and get a professional in if needed. So the material that I'm going to be using is this rough sawn piece of macrocarpa sleeper. My sandpaper ranges from 40 up to 120. So what I'm going to do is start off with a 60 grit, so it's not my roughest. That way I can always go back over it with a rougher if I feel I need to. And on the inside of my sandpaper here, we have arrows indicating the direction that the sandpaper goes. So also on the machine, we have an arrow indicating the direction of the belt because it goes around this direction. So we're going to put the arrows in the same direction. And when I put that on, I'm just going to get that flush with this side, snap that down nice and tight. So as I'm using the tool, I'm just going to let the machine do its work and just gently pushing down and keeping good control of it. If the belt starts to slip to one side, turn the tracking knob to bring it back to centre. Don't stay in one place too long and generally move in the direction of the grain. Now once again, I've got this plugged in with a hose. It's connected into my dust extractor. Now the great thing about this little number here is it's also Bluetooth. So as soon as I start this up, the machine starts up, and both of them are battery powered. Again, don't force the sander and use an even pressure. Now to get the ultimate finish on our piece of timber, I'm going to use my finishing sander. Now these are pretty simple. All we have to do is unclip this, put our paper underneath, clamp that down and do exactly the same around the back. We unclip that, that rolls under and that just clips on. Now, if you've got a piece of furniture where you need to get into some tight little spaces, the detail sander is the tool for that. Now this particular one, if you use the front sanding pad, you can just replace that and keep the back one on, or vice versa. This one here is pretty handy, comes with a battery and one speed, and away we go. And when using a detail or finishing sander, you generally won't be making a lot of dust, so the small dust bowl or bag that comes with a sander will suffice. When sanding curves, don't stay in one spot too long as it may flatten off. If you're doing a lot of DIY work or restoring or redecorating your home, then you may want to invest in a selection of sanders to tackle the different tasks you'll be facing. I'd recommend a belt, an orbital and a detail sander. And leave the floor sanding to the professionals. You need proper machinery for that. Now that you know what you're after, come in a store and we'll get the right sander in your hands. Don't forget to subscribe to the Mitre 10 YouTube channel for more handy content, or click here to watch more now.